next steps. Defeat you if you ain't heard I'm that. Sequel, award-winning, magnificent, ain't no one that's my equal. Prequel, I'm the lethal, some say unbelievable. Who? Rich Bees, he make it do what it do. Who knew? Album 2, in my mind I chose to deliver to you. On your porch, kick the box like UPS do. I ain't through with this dose of truth. One too many ain't shoot. Why would I choose to inform you? I'm letting loose 59 milli, pot of stove, I'm cooking goose. Welcome back. Welcome. It's your boy, Rich Bees, the real Rich Bees. And today, we are talking excitement. Excitement. Why are we talking excitement? Because it's snowing. Finally. Not saying that, I'm super geeked up about snowing, but a lot of times when it snows, what's the first thing that you think about? The first thing I think about is time off, right? Like, I ain't got to go to work, or I don't have to, do anything but sit down on the couch, watch the weather, and just hang out, or go outside, do snow stuff, whatever that might be. That might be wiping off your car. That might be, trying to drive to go somewhere in it just because. That's what I think of when I think of a snow day. You know what I'm saying? But the real question is, what do you think of when you think of snow day? Because obviously over the years, that thought process has changed. At least it's changed for me. Why did it change? It changed because I became an adult. And you know what that means. That means it is what it is, right? It's something that, I think everybody does like to see snow, but nobody really likes to deal with it unless you're going to have fun in it. I mean, maybe you're saying, no. I mean, but that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And again, not everybody likes it. Not everybody wants to deal with it. For me, it is what it is. Like, it looks good coming down, right? Looks very inviting, especially when everything is covered in all white. If you go outside and nobody's really outside, that's really what happens. It gets really quiet. It's eerily still. But the funny part is, even when I'm, like, say I go outside where I live at night, pretty much is silent. It's quiet. It took some getting used to when I moved back, to where I live now. It took some getting used to because I was not used to how quiet it can be here, right? Where I used to live, I could hear a lot. There was a lot of city noise. Um, Moved back here, and it's actually really, really quiet. I don't necessarily stay in the city now, but it still is really, really quiet. And at night, at first, that was scary, boy. That was scary. And it was an unfounded fear. You know what I'm saying? I'm man enough to say it. I'm man enough to say it. That it was scary. It made me feel away. You know what I'm saying? Because it was too quiet. I guess I've gotten to the habit of liking noise when I go to sleep, right? I listen to, like, say I might turn on an audio book, or I'm watching a YouTube video, or I'm watching another streamer here. You know what I'm saying? Either one of the platforms that I'm streaming on. And yes, I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm streaming on Twitch, right? Not streaming on TikTok. Not yet. I tried one time, but I didn't like the experience. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna stream on YouTube. So now I stream on Twitch and YouTube. So you can find me either one of those places, right? But it's just the fact of having that noise, right? When it's snow outside, it seems like everything is silent. And it's weird. It feels weird to me. But also it is peaceful, but you have to be used to it, right? It's one thing to live in the city and then it gets silent because of the snow and then you go to sleep. That's a peaceful sleep because you have a reason. But if it's a normal day and you're in an area that is silent and you just move there, nope. Especially if you move from a place like, let's say, a big city like New York or Philadelphia or LA, things like that. That noise is constant. It doesn't matter the time of the day. It doesn't matter, you know, what day of the week. For the most part, there's always consistent noise. Here, there is consistent noise, except for when it turns dark. When it gets dark, it goes silent. That could be a good thing because you can get peaceful sleep. But I think you have to get rid of that fear, right? That something must be wrong because it's too silent. It's actually scary. I don't know whether or not um you all heard there was a not a study. Well, I guess it might have been a study where they took all of these people one by one into an echoic chamber, right? I think that's the word for it, echoic. If I'm right or wrong, whatever, tell me in the chat. But they put all these people in this chamber that was um soundproof, right? And it was soundproof to the point that there was literally no sound that can go in or out, right? Um, and in the inside, they said it was so quiet that you can start to hear your own blood pump, and people got scared and went into panic attacks and stuff like that because it was just too quiet. So in that, maybe, maybe that's how I feel around here at night. Maybe I feel like it's just too quiet. I hear too many things. Like I hear, you know, little stuff tip tapping, you know what I'm saying, outside, little bugs crawling. I think you could actually hear that because it's just that quiet. Um, but I feel like it's even quieter when it snows. So like tonight, yeah, I think I'm gonna be like, I can't say I'll be weirded out because I know it's snowing, and I think it's different in the snow because a lot of times I guess my thought is the threat um it has been reduced because the capabilities that people can have when it's a normal day versus the capabilities people can have when it's snowing is different. And when I say capabilities, I'm talking about movement, right? Ease of movement. This is a security thing, right? Security wise. In the snow, it's hard to move and be quiet, right? Because you're gonna get crunch. It's gonna be cold. Um, and so the ability for somebody to move as freely without having a bunch of clothes on, right? Because it's cold outside, so that means they gotta have on like bulky clothes. They gotta have on clothes that probably has some sort of nylon feel to it. So when they're walking, it has that some ASMR. That's how it be sounding when they have when they have the winter clothes on. Like it has that swishing sound, right? That when it snows makes it, I guess, a little bit more um calming for me because I know that they can't be doing but so much without me hearing them, right? That's a weird thing when you're a person like me who really pays attention to things like, and I guess some people can say I mean, what, you got people out to get you? I mean, not everybody, you know, had as peaceful life as you did. You know what I'm saying? And the you being whoever thinks that, you know, my fear is unfounded. Um, like I said, not everybody had that type of peaceful life, if you want to say that, where, they didn't have to worry about anything and all that kind of stuff. Everybody grew up different ways. You know what I'm saying? And so, depending on your community, how you grew up, the things that was happening, determined whether or not, you felt safe, when you slept at night. Because if you didn't, you would have it in your mind too, right? You'd have it in your mind too that something could happen anytime that it starts getting dark. Like something could happen, somebody could come in. Like I said, it's just different though when it snows. When it snows, I think that it's something in your mind that says, you know what? If somebody was to try to come and do anything, there's noise. Like I said, the crunching of the snow, the nylon clothes that makes that swoosh swoosh sound. You got all of these things that make noise um if someone was trying to do something in the snow. Which means that in the snow, you can sleep better. Just you know you're gonna hear the noise, right? In the summer, people got on little shorts. They got on stuff that's really lightweight. It might not make no noise. All this other kind of stuff. Yeah, you start getting paranoid. Or is that just me? Is that just me? I mean, it might be just me. You might not have to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? But I guess, as a person that has two daughters, a son, and a wife, you really start to think about that kind of stuff. And if you are a man and you don't think of that stuff, then I think, you know, you're really at peace. You're really at peace with the place in which you live, and you probably really don't have any thought that somebody may, possibly could even fathom somebody doing something to their family or to their kids or whatever. But for me, nah, I'm on not on edge. I was gonna say, man, I'm on edge, but I'm not on edge. It's like it's a healthy fear, right? It's a feeling of wanting to make sure that I'm able to protect them and be the first person to hear it, so I can be the first to act, right? Um, because you know how sometimes your family may hear something, and then somebody goes and looks. Oh, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? And when they what's going on? Now they done got snatched up. Now you got to try to get them back and not hurt them while you trying to get the person who's trying to mess with them. Is this just me? Listen, hit me in the chat. If it's not just me, and these are the type of things you be thinking about too, say it in the chat. Let me know. Let me know, people, because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's got to be just me. It's got to be because this. I don't know, but I really try to pay attention to things like that. You know what I'm saying? I really try to pay attention to things like that because you never know what can happen, and so you gotta be ready so you don't have to get ready. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get what are some of the things you do to stay prepared, if something like that happens, or to make sure that something like that doesn't happen, right? And it don't matter whether it's snow time or whether it's you know um, summertime. It don't matter the time. Just what are some of the things, right? There's some things that you might have to do to prepare, not to prepare for, but to prepare in the form of preventative measures. And those measures, it could be something like, okay, you got cameras, right? Front and back door, right? You might have some weapons in strategic places around your home, right? Um, You might have one of those. You might have an alarm. Okay, but I counted that with the security cameras to me. But you might have one of those sticks. It's like a lot of older people use it, and they jam it up underneath their door handle um in hotels and stuff, right? So that way nobody can push the door open, right? It acts almost like a chair, like if you stick a chair underneath a doorknob, that way nobody can push that door open and come in. Um, but they have those in this metal pole rod type thing, and it has a like a foot on one side. So when you push it up underneath there, it kind of digs into the floor or the carpet or whatever, and it keeps it from sliding back, so it won't open, right? And so there's things like that, right? Like even being in a hotel, like are there things that you do to ensure that nobody walks in on you? Because the people at the desk can just make a key for whenever they want to, right? Maintenance probably has a what's it called? Housekeeping probably already has a key, right? They can just boop and come right in the room, whether somebody's in there or not. Yeah, they might knock and say housekeeping, but in the end, they can still put that in the door and come on in. And then if you put that little thing in front of the door, that little swipe thing, that little lock thing, they know they got the tool to be able to open that right up. You know what I'm saying? So what do you do to prepare? Right? So like let's say you staying at a hotel. Do you push your suitcase by the door before you go to bed? That way, at least if somebody does come in, they got to make a lot of noise, which can wake you up, and then you can defend, right? Or you can prevent by making a phone call to the police or whatever you got to do, right? To the front desk. Hey, somebody's trying to come in my room. That's at a hotel. At home, you got to put, okay, so let's think about this. Let's think about this. There's no such thing as anything being totally secure, right? There's only degrees of security that you can put in place that can add time to your ability to get help or to return uh, uh, onto offense, right? Versus playing defense. It's the same way in the tech world, when you have username and password to get into, let's say, your email or whatever, right? That's one form of security. That security, when you log in, it's a certain level of secure, right? People can only get in if they can find out your password. But a lot of times, the easiest way to get somebody's password is to ask them questions, right? If I ask you questions, make you fill out some kind of survey, or make you a part of some kind of a, you know, um, um, craze that's going on, you know answer these questions, like what's your childhood boyfriend's name, like what's your, what high school did you graduate from, and I put you in enough of them, I could figure out the patterns in which your past was, because most people are making their passwords based on their past, and figure out the combination, and keep trying, and then finally, after a while, might be able to get in. But the fact is that that method would be a lot shorter than if I added a two-factor authentication, right? That doesn't make it totally secure either, right? But a two-factor authentication means that you have to do two things to access this thing, right? You have to do two different things to access this thing. So you might have a username and password, and then on top of that, you have biometrics, or you have a key, right? Or you have some other form with another form, right? So you have two different types of things that you have to do to be able to get in, right? What if you had three or four different things you have to do? Okay, that's a even more secure method to lock something up, right? If you got a username and password, because a password is something that you have biometrics, that's something that you are, You have a key that's a hardware, something that you have, right? And think about it, like you add these methods, then of course that's going to make it a lot more secure. Is it impenetrable? No, but it may take so long that what it does is make the person who's trying to attack that thing have to take so much time that it's just not worth it for them. I'd rather go for the easy, right? I'd rather go for something more easy, unless they really want something that you have. They have to really want it to bypass all of that, to do everything they have to do, however long that takes to acquire all of that stuff to get into your thing. They must really want that. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at most people, they want the low hanging fruit. They want the easy win. They want the thing that they can just get in, no problem, right? And that's why now, if you notice, a lot of people are moving to those what is it called? It's called passwordless entry, right? Passwordless, meaning no password. Um Basically it's like a two-factor authentication. It's kind of like a SSL certificate is what it is. um, which is secure socket layer, right? Secure socket layer, which is the thing that everybody puts on website domain names, right? You go HTTPS, right? That security, that lock, is basically the same thing that they're allowing you to do now for a password to be able to get into your get into your email or get into your bank account or whatever, right? Where it's a long string of code, well, numbers and symbols and letters, right? Alphanumeric and all that kind of stuff. But all of that stuff, they they swap that and it has to match the code that they already have. So somebody else would already have a public code and they put that up against the private code, and through some form of genie work, it it says, yep, that's the right answer to this. They can get in. But it's so many characters. It might be like 2048 characters, right? You can't guess that. Nobody's guessing 2048 characters. Not when each one of those characters can be any letter, any number, and any symbol. When who's guessing that, right? Now, let's just say everybody wants to, well, AI is going to start opening the door for to break passwords, right? To figure out all these passwordless entries and even passwords, even number generators and all that kind of stuff, right? Could it? Yeah, because like I said, nothing is impenetrable. It's the amount of time it takes to get in. Then everybody wants to start talking about what's the name of the other thing? Um, what's that computer system? It's one second. Been talking. I'm thirsty. What's the name of that? It's a um quantum. There you go. Quantum computers. So they want to say quantum computers can break a password that normally might take, let's say thousands of years of trying things to get it. It can find that it used to take 1,000 years, but it can break into that same thing in 5 minutes. Well, I said nothing is impenetrable, but that just means that you have to find a different form of security that can block for that going forward, right? Because when you think about encrypted hard drives and stuff like that, right? Like you encrypt your information on your hard drive. Well, if you can find the encryption key, you can get into the hard drive, right? So if they have quantum computers and instead of it taking, 1 billion years to be able to break that code, now they can access it in 5 minutes. You have to start changing what type of security plan that you're using now. for something that hasn't even that works. Like, it's not theory, it works, but it's not readily available for everyone to have, right? And so if it's not readily available for everyone to have, then that means now you have to prepare for it because you see it coming. It's there, right? Like, you see it now, that you understand that this technology is there that can start to break passwords. And imagine when you couple, here's the part. Imagine when you couple quantum computers and AI, right? Couple those together, and then how fast would it be able to actually break passwords, encryption, and things like that? That's the reason why people are scared of AI. That's the reason why people are scared of quantum computers, right? I think everybody wants that technology, right? Everybody wants access to that technology because of what they can do with it. But in the hands of someone who has nefarious purposes for things, it can be considered a weapon. You know what I'm saying? It could be considered a weapon. And what do you do with that? How do you handle that? You know, because you have to prepare for it now, right? You can't wait. And then even backwards compatible for the things that you already have that are encrypted, right? Or the systems that you already use, not the new ones that you're about to get, but the ones that you already have. How do you go back and enforce some level of security for them that keeps whatever's going on in the future from getting into your past, because your past can point to what you did or what you're going to use or the way that you will secure something in the future if you don't change it, right? Imagine we're talking about all of this based on a snow day. Security. I done touched on, I don't know how deep. That was a lot of information about security. Let's bring it back though, right? Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the security of your own home, right? Of your own property, of your kids, of your family. What does that security look like, right? How can I secure my home in a way that does the same thing? Because the people on the inside of the home still need to get out, right? The people on the outside of the home don't need to get in unless they're authorized to get in. So what are some of the ways that we can allow that to happen, right? What are some of the ways that we can allow that to happen in a home setup? And everybody knows that first things first is, okay, you have a physical key, right? That we've been using it for years. That was the way to enter the property. Put the key in. The key has a lot of people say that no two keys are alike, but I don't think that's the case, because there's so many keys in the world of a certain shape. Then the possibilities can't be endless, especially when each one of those locks, right? A house lock, it has like these slide things, right? That when you stick that key in, they all go up as the key goes in. And then depending on the depth in which it sits into that key, that determines whether or not it's going to lock or unlock that lock. Okay. I don't know how many possibilities you can have of that, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't that many, because if I'm not mistaken, majority of keys were like 6 cylinders, right? Like, if you look at a house key, how many up and downs there are, right? I'm not gonna show my key on here because ain't nobody about to make no copy of my key. Trying to map it on the screen, you know what I'm saying? But it is easily copyable. You see what I'm saying? Just based on the statement I just said. And that's only because I understand that fact. that that's copyable from a regular house key look. You can copy that key. Now, the chances of you getting it right, if you don't have a copy of it, that would be high. It would be hard to make a to figure out that pattern. Okay, so that's what we know that a key works, and for most situations, it will work. But if we flip that over and start looking at it from a sense of not that key, but now we have a digital key, that could be better, right? If you have a digital key. However, how does that digital key know that it's you and not somebody else? Because if it doesn't know that it's you, then that is the same thing as having a physical key, right? Talk to me. Because you see, I'm in real time, I'm thinking it through, right? In real time, we're gonna figure this out. So if there is a real key, that key did not know who had it. It just accessed, right? It provided access. All right, let's look at a digital key. A digital key, it doesn't matter who has it, it'll just work. Unless, because it's digital, you put another method to verify who you are before you can use the digital key. Now we have rights, right? Like you can give rights to a digital key. You can give levels of access to a digital key. So, all right, you can have one key, and because it's digital, that one key can then give access, let's say, to the front door and the back door, but not the garage, right? Or it could be front door, back door, not the basement. Or it might just give one of the kids access to the basement, but not to the front and back door. So a digital key seems to make more sense, right? The ease of being able to change those settings on the fly if you want to. All that can be done with a digital key. Hmm. So if that's the case, then you look at not only the digital key, but let's back up from that and say, well, how do we secure the fact that that digital key knows it's you? Well, I guess where do we store digital keys now? Where do we store digital credit cards, right? Your finances, all that's stored in digital form, right? Access to make payments is from your phone. Digital keys to cars is from your phone. Some people do have digital keys to their houses already, right? Or to their homes already, right? Okay. And that is usually blocked by either a password to get into your phone or two-factor, which is a password and biometrics, either from your thumbprint, fingerprint, if you will, facial scan, right? Even tighter retina scan, right? So there are many methods to block someone to be able to access that digital key that then can lock and unlock things around your property. You can do the same thing with your kids. But that's saying that they have a phone that they have to keep with them and not lose. If they lose the phone and it's blocked by the biometrics and the fingerprint scanners and things like that, then the chances of somebody being able to reuse that phone or use that phone is going to be slim to none, which means that phone then becomes a dead object if they lose it. Parents can maintain control, they can make it turn on and off, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if you lose the phone, if you lose the digital key, it then becomes inaccessible for other people to use because it has not been verified that that is you, so it won't let that key work. Because what it makes it work is the biometrics or password check from or applying to who you are. Okay. I mean, that would put a lot of security on it, because that then requires you to, one, have your phone, which is something physical, and it requires biometric, which is something you are. So that's two forms of um, verification of who you are, or that it's you, to be able to use this key. That's how they do payments now, right? Payments are done because the same thing. You got a physical phone, and that phone verified it was you. So that means that when you go to make that payment, it's verified that this is you making this payment because you have this card on this phone. That means that that's you because you've already approved it when you added that card to the phone. So that means that because you had to sign into their website to make that connection, right? You put your information in there, blah, blah, blah. And then it has to send you a verification. It goes only to you. So that way you know it's you. Bam. Okay. That's one thing. All that being in place, right? What if, because you have the digital key, all that kind of stuff, what if there's another method, right? An actual biometric facial scan, something of you from your home security cameras. Okay. Keep where I'm going. The home security camera has to verify also it's you for the handshake to actually complete of the digital key. So now you've been verified on your phone. The phone's you. Phone knows it's you. Boom. House says, well, is this him? The key says it's you, but the home has to say, yep, that's the person I know. Right? There you go. Now you have some serious connection on security, right? Because now your phone is verified, one, that it's you from your biometrics, two, from the password, three, because it's the hardware that you have, four, because it has the key on it, right? Five is the fact that um your house has security, that security camera is looking at you and says, yep, this is him. And then it takes that public key and matches it with the other key to say, yes, this is him. Open up that door. And it does all of that in fractions of a second. Fractions of a second. That can be security. That can be pretty secure. If someone has that whole system set up, that's 5 levels. That's 5 levels of security. Even though two is kind of redundant, it's using the same thing, meaning your biometrics, unless it's a different biometric. So say the phone is checking something so your password, right? So say the phone is saying, if you do the password right, because that's something you know, then boom, it lets you in. Or if it verifies that's you, the home is doing the biometric scan of your face to say, yep, this is the person I know, right? I mean, it could be set up all kinds of ways, but it's just the fact that it's 5 levels deep of verification for you to be able to access your own home. How many other people are going to be able to break in? Now, when I say break in, that's a different level of security, because people can come in the window, right? People can break in the window. What do you do about that? Well, people have the break the window things on there. They have the sound listening for breakages. If the glass is broken, they have yeah, those are the two big things. But the fact of the matter is, it can still happen, right? And if somebody breaks into a window, they're in an area that you didn't prepare for them to come in. Does that make sense? Like, if somebody comes in a window versus somebody coming in a door, the door already is, if you have security and stuff, that's already going to be a central point of entry. So people are going to know that you probably have a camera somewhere around about pointing at that door. You may have already some sort of um a plan to protect that door. You may have set up your furniture in a way that that becomes a hot spot for them, right? Like that. That's like Death Valley, if you will. You've set it up in a way um, that it becomes a hot spot. They walk in, there's curtains, but through a window, it's just different, right? Through a window is different, and yes, you want your place of residence to be inviting, open, feel good, safe, but not just safe from the outside, safe for the people who are inside trying to enjoy the home. So there's you can't necessarily underneath every window put a nail bed underneath there. So when somebody steps in, they step on some nails. That's secure, or it at least it is a deterrent, right? If somebody steps on it, oh yeah, then they're stuck. They're not coming in that window. But then what about your kids running around the house? What about your pets, right? So that's not an option. So what do? We got to figure out another way to secure the window. And I think that there's a lot of people that even when they close a window, they don't lock it. So if you close your windows and leave them unlocked, just because you know every now and then you just want to grab it, slide it up, type thing, get some fresh air, and then you slide it back down. Most people aren't going to know that your window is not locked. But the fact is, there's a lot of people out there who don't lock. Why? I don't get that. If you have a window and you close it, lock it, right? You don't have a door. Well, no, I guess there are some people who do have doors that they just close and don't lock it because most people aren't going to come up and try to check to see if they lock their door or not, or if someone else has locked their door or not, right? But I'm guaranteeing that there's a ton of people whose doors you can just walk up to and turn a knob and you can go in, especially in certain neighborhoods. Certain neighborhoods more than others. So there's that. Some people don't even lock their car, right? Don't even lock their car. Get out. Some people leave the keys in the car because they like if it's gonna get stolen. I mean, at least they won't have to break anything, and if the police can recover it, then at least nothing will be broken. I mean, that's okay. That's a way. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that's a way. If that's the way you feel like it needs to be done, you know what I'm saying? For your own uh for the way you want to live your life, you know? I guess there's something that could be said of being open, honest, and transparent, right? Being open doesn't mean to let your life open. Be free, free. Hey, come on in, baby. Everybody can come in. Nah, 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 definitely not. But anyway, the whole point of this was me explaining the security part. And actually explain it to myself. So that way I don't have those thoughts of things like that potentially happening, you know, at night while I'm asleep. Um, yeah, but those are just different methods, right? And I think even though for me, you know, I have a lot of those methods, actually, I actually do. That's why I can say what I'm saying to you because I actually do have a lot of those methods. And for me, does it make me sleep any sounder? Probably not. Probably not. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And I guess there's something to be said about the fact of staying in a city or someplace that at night is still noisy. Um, and I guess that the thought process behind that might be if it's noisy, then people are too busy to come mess with me. There's too much going on. They're already doing something. So why are they gonna come messing with me? You know what I'm saying? And when I say messing with me, I'm not talking about like just picking on me. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about coming to do something to my family, right? Um, because they've been plotting and watching and ain't never said anything, but they looking at the things I got. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not living in a place of fear. Trust me when I say that. I'm not living from a place of fear. I'm living from a place of love, but I'm also living in a place of reality and wanting to ensure that my kids can grow up safe, feeling safe. My wife can sleep well and doesn't have, feels like, oh man, he's got this locked up like Fort Knox. You know what I'm saying? But do it in a way that doesn't feel intrusive, right? Do it in a way that doesn't feel like um trying to be a prison. You know what I'm saying? That's not the intent. The intent is to make it feel as free as possible, as easy to come and go as possible, um, without any hiccups. But it's secure enough that it becomes a major deterrent for others who would try to, right? Because that's the only thing you're doing with security anyway, is you're creating different levels of um, resistance uh, or challenge, which makes it a deterrent for other people who are trying to get in. They're like, well, they see the cameras, they see they don't see a key lock. That means they don't know how well this house is secured. Um, which means they're probably prepared, which means they probably have other things going on that I don't even know about yet. So why don't we go over to this other house that has these old locks on the door? You could probably use a credit card and get in. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of thing that I'm thinking about. It, like I said, it's the appearance of that makes it a deterrent. When you think about that, it's the same thing as when you look at sporting events and stuff like that, right? If you go to a sporting event, the doors are basically open. Yes, you have to have a ticket, but still the doors are basically open. You can come and go as please. You can do whatever you want to. But the issue is that when you look around, you see a couple of armed police officers walking around. You might see armed security, sitting in front of a building or whatever, or in front of a bank, right? You might see armed security. It's a deterrent for the average person. If you see a police there, the whole thing in your head is not going to be, oh, well, I can probably go in and, steal some money or something. You're going to see the police and be like, okay, yeah, now, no, this ain't the right location. You're going to go look for a bank that don't have a security sitting in the front, right? First, then you're going to look for the bank that has the old cameras because you're like, those probably don't work at all anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying to go around casing banks. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that in that thought process, you would look at that scene and say, I'd rather go to one that don't have those things. That'll probably be the one I can get away with doing it. Not the one that I'm sitting here with the security guard. They got brand new cameras up on the ceiling, all this other kind of stuff. Right. So even when you look at, like I said, at home, it's the same thing. Why would they come to a house that has the cameras outside, right? Camera on the door, you know, they got a lock that doesn't have a normal key to it. That doesn't look like a house that is inviting you to come break in. That's making it easy for you to get up in the house. That's a house that you like, okay, cross that one off. We're not hitting that one. We'll go over here. That's the whole point, is to deter, right? That's why people have signs up that says security or that says ADT, right? I'm not trying to, this video is not sponsored by ADT. But when that's why they had them signs out there in the yard. Those yard signs become a deterrent. Oh, they have a security. Let's go over here to this other house that didn't have the sign, right? It's a mental thing, right? What they're doing is just dissuading you, right, from coming. They're not trying to persuade you to get in. They're trying to persuade you to leave, right? And that's they have the signs on the gates, right? That says "Do not enter, or you will be shot." They have that in the military, right? All of those are just deterrents. And to be honest, even when you go into the bigger conversation, right, when they talk about um, you know, those big nukes and stuff like that, those are just deterrents. They're not really going to use them unless they have to, but it's a deterrent, right? That's how security works. It doesn't matter whether you can do it. It doesn't matter whether you have the ability to secure your place. It doesn't matter whether it actually any of that works. It's just the fact that it appears as if it does. So let's go to a place that doesn't have it, doesn't even appear to have it. Those are the people who we gonna try to get. See what I'm saying? And I'm not an advocate for people going to get anybody, but I'm just saying that that's why you, as a father, as a person who runs your household, as a person who is in charge of different types of level of information, level of human life, level of your own life, if you're in charge of your own life, figure out a way to protect it, right? And that comes through a series of deterrents. A series of deterrents. Who's gonna break into a house that has a real fit husband that's all rocked up and bulked up? Who's going for that house? They're gonna choose another one first. They're not gonna go there first. They might go for the old person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's common sense. You want to have the least amount of resistance as possible to what you're trying to do. So that's the mentality you have to have. I need to have the most levels of deterrent for someone to not choose to come my route. So with that being said, looking at what I'm talking about, me being able to sleep, since tonight's a snow night, I will be sleeping well. Know that. If you don't know anything else, if you didn't get anything else from this this ain't no podcast, from this live, if you didn't get anything else from watching me on this stream, get this. I will be sleeping well tonight. Get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to be honest. I'm just trying to be honest with y'all. You know what I'm saying? We talked about it. Open, honest, and transparent, right? So I'm just trying to be honest. Because that is my plan. My plan is to sleep well tonight. So today, if I was to recap, make sure that y'all are safe out there. Make sure that y'all put up as many levels as you can for deterrence, to get as much, to be as secure as possible, uh, in your life, in your finances, in your home, in your car, in your place of business, right? Ramp up the security, ramp up the levels of deterrent, figure out the best way that you can to put as many levels in between a would-be attacker and your information, your life, your children's lives, or anyone else in your family. Put as many deterrents as you can to separate outside from what matters to you. All right. So I think that's my take for today. That's my take for today. Because it is a snow day. It looks like it's starting to get dark. And I think I'm gonna enjoy this day. I was working, I've done some coding. I might do a little more while I'm trying to enjoy the day because I do like to code. I do like to do the things that I do. So even though I'm working, it's what I like to do. So is it really work? But I'll probably watch maybe some movies tonight, right? Make me a drink and definitely do a little bit of work. Do a little bit of work. Depending on how the night goes, I might even pop back on another live. Who knows? But if I come back again, I might be gaming. I might game the game one state. I started gaming it in my last stream. Go watch it. You'll see me set it up. You'll see me try to work through it. But I might do that one live. It is an RP, right? It's called One State RP. You can play it on iPad. You can play it on iPhone. So if that's something that interests you, if you want to get into role play, I would say it's a fun way to get started. If you don't want to jump up to the, GTA type RP, because that's a whole lot more that's capable of. But if you start here, that's at least a start. You can figure out how that works, what that looks like. So that's my suggestion. And since it's a snow day, today might be the best day. Tomorrow might be the best day. Since it'll be snow, you can just chill, figure out how to play it, and join me because you might catch me on there. Thank you for your time tonight. You know who it is. Rich Bees, the real Rich Bees. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Come follow your man. And hey, we'll be back next time. You know what it is. You know who it is. Rich Bees out. Let's go.